Leaving so soon? We have much to catch up on, brother.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama. Welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our Paws On Netflix segment.
In today's podcast, we're covering the new Devil May Cry anime that arrived on Netflix.
Thank you, Shinigami Phoenix.
Yes.
Now, this anime is loosely based on the Devil May Cry video game series, showing Dante's adventures coming to a halt after he's caught in the middle of a plot to open a portal to hell and unleash an evil army to Earth. That's a lot.
But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notifications of future podcasts and all the pause videos.
And thank you so much for joining us today, sharing our videos, commenting, so much more. We appreciate everything you do, especially your suggestions and recommendations.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
He's got a lot to do in just 8 episodes.
Yes. We were not familiar with this franchise at all.
No.
Full disclosure. But now we are interested in what's going on.
Right.
And we've been learning more and more about the games that Phoenix has also recommended we play. And I can tell you this. If he had not kept going, have you watched it yet? 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 We wouldn't have gotten to it.
Right.
And once we watched the first episode, we were hooked.
Yes.
There was a lot we didn't know, so we did take a look at some information on the game itself, so we wouldn't be totally clueless while watching it.
Right. Especially when it came to who a lot of these characters were, because there were some instances where we learned that some characters were from the games or other incarnations, and other times they were new characters added to help flesh out the story or add some more diverse type characters into the story.
So first, we'll talk about the Netflix TV series, which we watched. It's an adult animated urban fantasy action TV series. It's definitely for adults. If you've got kids that are under 16 or 17, don't have them watch the show. It's being animated by Studio Mirror. Woohoo!
Yes.
And it's created by Adi Shankar, who you also may know from Laserhawk.
Yes.
And other series. And it's based, as we mentioned, on the Japanese video game franchise by Capcom. And it has 8 episodes. It's English dubbed, and it's got some great voice actors that are appearing, who we'll get to later.
Yes.
And it's been renewed for a 2nd season already before the series.
Congratulations.
Yes. And they didn't say when it's coming out, but this is a fairly new anime for Netflix. It premiered April 3rd.
Yes. Yes, not too long ago. So we really were on top of covering this one.
And the main reason, Johnny Young Bob.
Right. Hearing he was going to be in it, and we thought maybe he was the voice of Dante in the games. No, he was in there, but he was not Dante.
Right.
And it looks like a lot of people made connection to Trigun Stampede because there ended up being a lot of crossover fan art between Dante and Vash.
And when you're watching it, the first episode, that's all you keep saying, oh, this is Trigun, this is Trigun, this is Bash, this is Bash.
Yes.
And then you got the twins, and you're like, okay, it's Bash and Millions 9.
Yes.
And the mom, and
then
it just keeps going.
And then we found out in the game there's like a 3rd one coming in. It's like, okay, that must be somewhere in season 2 because of how season 1 ends.
And it sounds like Supernatural.
Yes.
With Adam still in hell.
Yes, a lot of supernatural inspired stuff was in here when we were looking at it.
So, for those, again, who may not be familiar, this particular series focuses on Dante as a for-hire demon hunter. And he's trying to stop a demon invasion of Earth headed by the White Rabbit, who you learn a lot about in this anime in the latter episodes.
Right.
And he also has a conflict with a skilled soldier named Mary, who we learned was Mary Arkham in the game itself. And one problem we have with this, we'll tell you about in a minute. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the game franchise itself. It's a sci-fi action-adventure game series, a game developed by Capcom. It originally began in 2001, long before Supernatural.
Right.
And it's still running through present. And then I think there's a developer also known as Ninja Theory who came on board in 2013.
Okay.
If that's correct or incorrect, let us know in the comments.
Right.
And as we mentioned, the series alludes to, well, we didn't mention it. Phoenix did. It alludes to Dante's divine comedy poetry, which I've actually read quite a few years ago.
Okay.
So when he said that, I was surprised. And the person who's the creator, Hideki Kamiya, he created Devil May Cry, or we've been calling it DMC, because he had a failed attempt at developing a Resident Evil game, with the first game originally being conceived as Resident Evil 4.
Okay. And now, it's ironic how it's become now its own thing. They have now even hinted in this anime itself that it's in the same universe as Resident Evil, but they don't really cross over. And I guess because of the supernatural elements in there, the Resident Evil games seem to be focused on the zombie surrealism, and then the Devil May Cry series focused on supernatural and underworld and everything. So I guess they want to make sure it stays separate.
Now, the series being so successful that it sold 32 million copies worldwide. It also received Capcom's Platinum Title Award, so the company gave itself an award. That's funny. The success of this game series has also led to comic books, novels, 2 animated series. We'll tell you about the first one in a minute. Guides, collectibles, publications, and a variety of action figures.
Wow.
So he made the right choice and didn't give up, and it's been really successful for him.
Right.
So while we were watching this, we looked up some information, and we learned that there was another animated series for Devil May Cry that came out some time ago.
And we had no idea it even existed. We just assumed this was the first anime or animated adaptation of this franchise as a series. So it was a bit surprising to see that they actually did try this once before, years ago, like back in the 2000s.
Back in 2007, yeah.
Yes.
And it was an anime.
Again.
Yes, based on the video game. And it was set, I should say, sometime between Devil May Cry and Devil May Cry 2, the 2 games. And this anime was produced by Madhouse.
Ooh, really? Okay, that means there'll be some high quality animation there too.
So we're looking forward and interested in seeing what that's about if we can find it. It was classified as action, horror, fantasy back when it came out. So, yes, very different feel and theme, and it ran only 12 episodes from June of 2007 to September of 2007.
Yes.
If any of you have ever watched the animated series from 2007, let us know in the comments, and do you recommend we check it out as well?
Right. And as for the series itself, for 2 of us not really knowing much about this franchise or the game or anything, we were surprised by majority of what happened in the show. And they did keep their promise on having lots of action, great voiceover performances, great music choices to give you the same nostalgia for the early 2000s, for the time the game came out, having these big name voice actors and big name singers using their song, either making new songs or using their biggest songs for the show. And we thought that was really, really awesome. And here's where our slight bit of criticism comes in. After the first maybe 2 episodes of the anime,
I think the first episode. Actually,
okay,
yeah.
the tone and focus completely, well, not the tone, the focus completely shifts from Dante to Arkham, who we know now is Lady,
Or
but
Mary, or
Lady,
Lady.
Mary. And he keeps calling her Lady, like, okay, okay. And at first it's about her capturing him. They have the task force. You have those yet again, trying to capture him and keep him from causing chaos, and it doesn't go well. But after that initial part where she captures him, the show really stays focused on her, even up to the point where they show a connection between her and the villain White Rabbit. And that actually stays for the rest of the series. Dante's thing is actually ends up being the side story, and they swap places, and Arkham is now the focus.
And we were put off by that at first, and we still don't care for it because we were watching it for Dante. But then we learned in the animated series, the women were the focus of it.
Right.
So they kind of were
going back to that.
Yeah.
So.
And we really hope that in season 2, most of the focus stays on he and Virgil.
Yeah.
And from what we understand from Phoenix, Nico will be coming.
Nero? Is it Nico or Nero? I think it's Nero.
I'm
Nero.
sorry.
Okay, thanks.
I'm thinking about Rio.
Yes. Me too.
Nero.
Yes. And from what Phoenix had told us about that character is, I guess, part of the Trinity, or a trio of characters from the game. So the second season is using Virgil, Possibly Nero. They're going to save it for a third season, depending on how this
So then
series
the
goes.
mom had triplets instead of twins.
Possibly, yeah.
Wow.
And what's funny is that Johnny Young Bosch was the voice of that character. And it's funny they have him voice Dante instead. Go figure. They want a big name voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
What's even funnier is that, like, that same day we had finished watching it, some people had made some fan art between that and between either Trigun or Sonic. Yes, that's a weird combination, but they did it. And they had said they had lined up some of the characters with the Devil May Cry characters. And the one that ended up making us laugh the hardest was that it says Silver's a lot like Nero and it's Johnny Young Bosch. So it just keeps getting connected.
6 degrees of Johnny Young Bosch.
I want you to keep a record of this, because if there comes a time and they announce the casting for the movies and they say Johnny Young Bosch is going to be in here. Plus, when it got to the final episode of the season, they had the final battle. There's a short point in there where they actually do open the portal and all these creatures from hell start coming through. The sky changes, these monstrous looking creatures come through, everyone's running, and it is pandemonium. It is really terrible, because you're thinking, is it going to end with the villain winning and then it's a cliffhanger the next season? But what actually made me laugh is that it was the exact same setting as Silver's future in the video game, and I'm looking like, why is this coming up in here? It just keeps foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's like, for a minute it looked like that.
And then she said, let me show you so you'll see. So we actually watched cutscenes someone put together. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, first she showed me
The first minute.
only the one for Silver.
Yeah.
And then we watched the full for the
Right.
game. And I saw it in the first minute, I was hooked. And then she cut off, like, why'd you cut it off? And she said, I'm only showing the first minute, but it's interesting. And yes, it looks exactly like the Devil May Cry scene.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh. So, yes, Johnny Young Bosch is destined to be Silver. We will keep pushing
Yes!
it. We will keep talking
Hey, Paramount,
about it.
you listening?
And instead of 6 degrees of separation, we're going to say 3 degrees of separation.
Ah.
Because he really needs to be Silver. Okay, back to Devil May Cry.
Yes.
We enjoyed it. With, again, we were not thrilled with Mary ended up being the focus. We
Right.
also were kind of put off by her entire team being killed off before the end of
Yeah.
the season, pretty violently. And then from what I understand, Shankar has a habit of doing this. He did it in Laserhawk and another anime
Yeah,
he did.
so
So this
this
is like his signature.
Yes, where the cast immediately gets taken out and you're left with only 1 or 2 characters. And they expect it to be very impactful to the audience, but the problem is that you didn't know her team long enough to feel the impact. Maybe some others felt different from us, but we didn't really feel that much attachment. We were shocked they were taken out, and maybe that was more of the reason, the shock value of them killing off characters left and right. But there wasn't much an emotional impact like it was supposedly written as.
Right.
And so many characters were taken out that you barely got a hold of. And they weren't written in a way where you're supposed to immediately like them within a few seconds. You immediately resonate with them. They were just kind of there to have these very different personalities, including the vice president, and have these standout voice actors. But in terms of the writing, not enough time was centered on them for us to feel like, oh no, maybe one at the end, but that's it.
Right. So, just to clarify, Adi Shankar has done Netflix series The Guardians of Justice, which we
Really?
tried, Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix, and Devil May Cry to date. He also did the Judge Dredd remake Dredd in the 2010s. He's also helped develop Castlevania, which is also on Netflix.
Oh yeah, now it's as big as it.
And he calls it his Bootleg Universe fan films.
Okay.
So he's pretty well known for his style
Right.
of writing and animating. And so, yeah, from what I understand, this is like one of his signature moves to take everyone out.
Right.
And also, we mentioned that we will get to the cast. They had a pretty great cast of voice actors in here.
Yes.
Including the late Kevin Conroy. Who got to do a voice of one character until we think the last episode when you could tell the difference. But he was fantastic. For the length of time we got to hear him, he would have been great. So I'm going to mention something about that character in a minute. So let's go over the cast quickly. Of course, as we mentioned, Johnny Young Bosch is Dante.
Yes.
And Q Lawrence is the young Dante. Scout Taylor Compton as Mary Ann Markham, or Lady, as he calls her. And then Evie Sue is the young Mary.
Mm-hmm.
We have Hoon Lee as the White Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen Hoon Lee getting all types of accolades online
Yes.
for his performance as the White Rabbit. Them being saying it's one of the best things about the season itself. And
Yeah,
we
I've
have
seen
to
it too.
agree he's fantastic.
Yes.
Chris Coppola as Enzo Farino, who's an information broker and who you actually find out is Dante's friend by the end, unfortunately.
Right.
Kevin Conroy is William Baines, the Vice President of the U.S. and the genocidal head of DARCOM.
Yes.
And what's funny is that as soon as I saw him, my mom and other family members used to watch this show called The $6 Million Man.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, there was a guy that was the head of whatever the organization is, nicknamed Oscar Goldman. As soon as I saw him, I said, he's Oscar Goldman.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Conroy even did the voice like Oscar Goldman.
Yes.
He looks just like him.
Yes.
So we looked online and found a video where he speaks and it shows him.
Yes.
And Rascal said, oh my gosh, you're right. It is Oscar Goldman.
Yes,
so
sure is.
Shankar was definitely influenced by the $6 Million Man.
Yes.
And the Oscar Goldman character. And then later on, Ian James Cortlandt provides dialogue for Baines in select episodes after Conroy passed.
Right.
Then supporting, we've got Zeke Alton as Dr. Fisher, John Grease as Hopper, Robbie Damon as Virgil, and that really made me excited. Dante's twin brother, and Marcel Nahapetition as a young Virgil.
Yes.
I'm just going to read off the rest quickly. Benjamin Abiola, Sukrish Bala, Frida Wolf, Leilani Barrett, Tina Majorino, Kenny Omega, Jason Kelly, Erica Lindback, Ray Chase!
Yes!
As Mary's deceased father, and Agni and Ruta, they're a pair of demon brothers working for the White Rabbit, and you will hear him and know him as soon as you hear him.
Yes.
Carrie Walgren as Dante's deceased mom, and Echidna, a plant serpent demon working for the White Rabbit. Again,
yes,
here we go with Sonic.
Yeah, it's like
and Silver. Jason Marnoka, Roger L. Jackson, and Donovan Patton round out the list.
Yes.
So some of these people will not be coming back because their characters have been killed off. Maybe they'll do other voices and come back. Who knows? But the first season was definitely action-packed. It was thrilling. There were things you could figure out and there were things you couldn't figure out. And I'm glad that we did look up information so we wouldn't be so totally and completely clueless while watching it.
Yes.
And could accept some of the things that maybe we didn't think worked, but we know that they were taking them from the other animated series.
Right. So, thank you to Shinigami Phoenix for recommending this show to us, introducing something new to us we've never really heard of or even paid attention to. So now we're getting invested in another video game franchise / universe, or at least it's adaptation of it.
Absolutely.
And we can't wait for season 2 to see how maybe they will make it even grander than the first season.
Absolutely. So if you've seen Devil May Cry, the Netflix series, or the animated series, or played the games, please let us know in the comments below.
Mm-hmm.
How did you like either one of these medias? Do you love the Netflix adaptation? Did you like the animated series better? What do you think should have been adapted, or what wasn't adapted? Or are you looking forward to being adapted season 2? Are you happy about season 2? If you haven't seen Devil May Cry, we recommend give it a watch. Again, if you're squeamish, if you don't like a lot of violence, or if you are under the age of 16, we do not recommend you watch it unless you have a parent present. We're not advocating for this for any kids.
Right,
so,
sorry.
If you are over the age of 18, give it a watch, come back, and tell us what you think.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly reviews for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for joining us today, subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting, everything you do, especially supporting Jang Young Bosch as the voice of Silver for Sonic 4 or 5.
Yes!
As always,
you are special. Thanks so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.